everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast and Merry Christmas. And we are here to talk about non-Hallmark Christmas movies. And this is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have some movies that there's a couple that I think there's, well, actually, no, I don't think there's any that all three of us have seen. So this is going to be an interesting episode where we're all going to be reporting on different movies. And because I was traveling this last week, I didn't get my normal viewing in. So I just have two to report on. And of course, Terry and Michelle are here. I thank you both for coming to this. But
Pleasure.
It's gonna be fun. I hope you're all enjoying your December. You having a good month so far?
It is cold here. It's so cold here now.
Freezing.
Yeah, it's just like I nearly fell this morning. I went out with the dog and it's just all black ice. So yeah, the temperature has dropped significantly over the last week.
Do you actually have a white Christmas or just cold?
We've had snow once so far, which was nice because we didn't really have any last year. It was kind of gone in a day. We tend to get snow more January, if we are going to get it. So it was kind of surprising we got it so early this year. But hopefully again in January. I don't mind the snow; it's the ice that I have a real issue with.
Mhm.
Terrible. I would take snow over all this rain we've been getting. It's been raining for days.
Yeah, and
I would take the
freezing.
snow.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's so cold.
It was so
Mhm.
cold in New York right now.
Yeah.
But things going well for you, Terry, otherwise?
Yeah, I mean, still breathing, so it's all good.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Well, let's dive in. Let's talk about, we'll just alternate. I'll start with the one that I saw that you guys didn't see. I saw The Sudden Case of Christmas, and I watched this actually on the plane. On the plane. This stars Danny DeVito and Andy McDowell is in it, and it's got a big heart. It's about this family. They're breaking up, and their daughter loves Christmas, and so they go to Italy, and they decide that they're going to basically create Christmas in July in the summer, and that's why it's a sudden case. And basically give her this like last Christmas with the family together or whatever. And there's all kinds of shenanigans, that come. So it's like very well meaning, but oh my gosh, it was so boring. Even on the plane, it could entertain me. It's just like beyond the initial setup, it was just like a lot of like shenanigans at this hotel and things going on with the grandparents, and it just was not, it was not entertaining. I found it pretty rough, like to sit through, even on the plane, which my bar for plane entertainment is a lot lower than normal entertainment. But yeah, it was not good. I do not recommend it. But Terry, what do you have as your first one you want to report on?
Well, I guess I'll start with the Lifetime ones. So like last week we didn't cover Make or Bake Christmas on Lifetime.
Yeah.
And this is the one with Jackie Harry, Vivica A. Fox. Okay, so the synopsis here is lifestyle mogul Leslie aims to acquire a charming baker's bakery before year's end. She dispatches employee Emma undercover as temp worker to persuade owners, but Emma finds herself enamored with its festive charm and baker David. And the synopsis is better than the movie. I would say there's nothing wrong with it. It's like I think it's just the way it's filmed. It's so questionable because I don't think Jackie Harry was filming with some of those cast members the majority of the film. Do you know what I mean? It's weird editing choices where you're like, I don't believe these people are in a room together. But I mean, it's watchable. But I don't know how you would forgive someone who goes undercover working at your bakery to try to get info to get somebody to sell it. It's that's like, oh, but she
Is
made these terrible cookies and we turned them into a hit to sell. And they're very
um
forgiving of this lady where I'd be like, restraining order, I ain't talking to you again. And
was
uh
it that's what they're going undercovers to try to find out the
yeah, so
recipe?
it's like Vivica A. Fox, she's like a baker. She has this mega company. She wants to acquire this bakery and, sell their goods under her names, typical stuff. Somebody's always trying to acquire something in
Yeah.
Lifetime, right? But she
Mm-hmm.
sends one of her employees an undercover mission. She can't even bake. She being a baker and messes up all the recipes. But she's taking photos of their stock, learning how they operate, just so she can like get enough intel to see where their weaknesses are and, make an offer to see if they or try to convince them that it would be beneficial to them to sell. And they don't want to sell. And of course, she's going to fall in love with, the baker's son. Jackie Harry owns the bakery, and her son helps run it. And of course, she's going to catch feelings for him, and he's going to catch feelings for her. And I mean, it's what you would expect from this movie, but it is so poorly put together. And I hate to say that because somebody tried, and it could be like a budget thing, or it could just be trying to make it work with everybody's schedule. Because it's so weird. Like, it's also very irritating when you're watching two people talk in a scene and they cut to like, here's the son talking, and then they cut to the mom, and you're like, these two are not in the same room together. You could just tell, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not jarring, but it's like a little annoying because it's so many cuts, it's so many splices together, but
Is Jackie allowed to be funny at all?
she is not.
Uh,
She, not
I,
not really. I almost did not recognize her. I almost didn't recognize her. Like she has a different like her hairstyle. Her hair is very curly, so she has a different look than what I'm used to with seeing
mm.
like Jackie Harry like with straight hair. But I almost did not recognize her. But
Like,
she was playing it
she's
very
no,
kind, very loving.
she has done a ton of these movies now, of these holiday films,
Oh
and
yeah.
she has never been funny in any like
No,
I don't
no, she's not.
understand. It's so
I
strange to
know.
me. Why hire her unless you
Right.
want her to be funny? It's
It is bizarre because she's very kind, very
weird.
loving, understanding, like a very supportive mom, but she's not, there's really no funny moments. They try to be funny, and I don't know, it doesn't really work. Vivica A. Fox is playing a very assertive, strong. She's not quite a villain, but they want to make her a villainous boss, but they kind of flake out on that at the end because people have to learn their lessons, because it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah, I mean, she's done
But
dozens of these at this point. She's done a lot of these, and she has
I
never
do
been
wonder.
allowed to be
Yeah,
funny.
no,
Why don't you? It's just so odd to me. She's a comedic actress. I, I just don't understand why they can't seem to, at least like, I feel like Vivica A. Fox has done like a few that were a little
oh,
funny,
tons. She's done tons.
Mm.
And
she's
if
done
you
tons,
watch,
but
yeah, and if you watch a lot of Vivica A. Fox like Lifetime movies, like I do, there's constantly she works with a lot of the same people. They're all in this movie, like Meredith
yeah.
Thomas and all this other
Well, and
stuff. And
she's done, Vivica has done
oh,
tons where
Vivica has
she's
done
just like
ton,
in
and
the office, like
yeah.
clearly shot at a different time.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, sometimes she produces. I'm not 100% certain if she co-produced this, but sometimes it's her production. But it's like if you watch enough of her movies on Lifetime, it's like it's the same people in it, like
Yeah.
the same group of people. So they might be working for the company who, did this. But like it's watchable. It kind of falls flat because I'm like, I would never forgive this lady. Like they embrace her in the end, and I'm like, no. I mean, you know how these Christmas movies go. It's like we've got to forgive, and she learned a lesson to not spy or whatever. And I'm like, give me a break. I just think that it's just not made well, and I think they were
Yeah.
probably doing the best that they could with what they had. And I don't want, I don't. want to be totally mean to it because I can see people liking this movie, but yeah, Lifetime's a mixed bag this year for sure.
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
So, Michelle, what's one that you got to see?
So I guess I'll start with what I like the least and end with the best.
Okay, good.
So first up would be Last Xmas. So the little synopsis is Maggie and Julian are ex-girlfriends who unexpectedly rekindle a spark during their hometown visit for the holidays. Are they meant to be? They'll have to navigate their feelings, a gossiping town, and ghost of exes past to find out. So this is kind of like on a micro budget. It's available on Amazon and other streaming services to buy or rent. It's a micro budget sort of indie film. With sort of a TV movie sort of like spin, but it just feels
it's Xmas EX, right?
yes.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, it's fine. I don't think that the chemistry is amazing. You sort of have like a little flashback at the beginning. You sort of see the relationship in high school. One of them is like extremely popular, the other one not so popular. Interestingly, they're both out. It's more just the fact that one of them isn't so popular and is sort of into school and doesn't like dress a particularly sort of flashy way, sort of t-shirts and jeans kind of person. And so her girlfriend's like embarrassed by her. So that's like a big thing throughout the film of just like she sort of hid her the entire relationship in high school. So they sort of see each other again. One of them wanted to be an actress, has landed a commercial. The other wanted to be a chef and is now working as a sous chef and has released a book. So they both come back for the holidays to get sort of a key for the city. You sort of find out that they'll give this key to anyone. Like any sort of level of success, you get a key to the city. But yeah, there's a lot of sort of family shenanigans, friends shenanigans, and narcissistic ex comes back. Yeah, it's fine. It's just not very Christmassy.
Yeah.
That was sort of the big thing for me. Like you sort of see a little bit of Christmas in the background in terms of like decorations and things. But there's no like fun games. There's like a scene of them doing Christmas shopping, but it's sort of like a few seconds long, if that. So yeah, it just didn't feel very Christmassy. Sort of starts at the flashback will start at the in New Year, and it sort of ends in present day in the New Year. So yeah, it's fine. A little bit disappointing, as it's probably I think one of two LGBTQ movies this year, and it didn't quite deliver for me, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's too bad. Darn. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not terrible. It's just not Christmassy.
Yeah. Well, I only have one other one to talk about. Like I said, I was traveling this week, so I had all of the Hallmark Thanksgiving movies to cover, so that was a lot. But I have a documentary called Best Christmas Movies Ever. This is on the CW channel, and I think you can watch it on line. There's CW on there, and it has some people that we know from the podcast, like Brendan Elliott is interviewed a couple times, which is sort of fun, and Alonso Duralde is a guest. Gray Drake, who I've had on my show, She's on there, and some people that I've talked to, so it's kind of fun to see them. But and overall, it's very very entertaining, and I appreciate the fact that they have more obscure, like it's not just the obvious ones, like they talked about in the Santa Claus section, they talked about Claus, which
Mm-hmm.
I thought, oh, that's nice that they included, something like that. There's a whole section on Rankin Bass. There's a whole section on Love Actually, different things like that. The only thing that really annoyed me is there's a whole section on Nightmare Before Christmas, and they have 3 separate commenters talk about Tim Burton with it, and Burton's a genius, and Burton's and it's like he didn't direct the movie. Like, it's so frustrating. He didn't even write it. It's his story by. He gets a story credit, but he didn't write it. He was a producer on it. And I just feel bad for Henry Selick. Like, no man has made like a generally perceived masterpiece
Yeah.
and gotten
I
less
know.
credit
Yeah.
for it.
Such a weird,
it's
like,
so
pop culture
unfair.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe it's because it was always presented as Tim Burton's The Nightmare
Tim
Before
Burton's, yeah.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
I
I mean,
think that's just put in the mind of everybody that it's a Tim Burton, like,
it
Yeah.
was,
written or directed, or that he inspired it or
yeah.
whatever like
I mean,
that, when
it
he
was
didn't have as much to do in it.
it was literally, that's
Yeah.
how it was titled when it was released. Tim Burton.
Oh,
Nightmare
yeah.
Before
Yeah,
Christmas.
so.
Yeah.
So, like, that's understandable, and for like the everyday human, understandable that they would think of that as a Tim Burton film. But for
Right.
3 separate commentators in a documentary that's about Christmas movies, like, you expect it to be better, and for
The
them to
disrespect.
not make that kind of mistake. Because it's like totally unnecessary. You could just talk about it being a great movie. Like, you don't, like, there's no need to. It's not like the other movies, they were like, talking about Richard Donner making Scrooged or something like that. Like, you don't need to mention the directors for everything. And so you just talk about that you love it. Like, you don't even need to. So it's not like you have to mention Henry Selick. I'm just saying that the fact that 3 of the commentators talked about Tim Burton, I was just like, come on. That was irritating to me. And it is Disney's fault. I mean, because that's
Yeah, it is.
how they named it.
Yeah.
And that's how they marketed it, because he was a big name at the time. And it obviously has Burton's aesthetic. Nobody's saying that it doesn't, but it just as easily has Coraline's aesthetic and other films that Henry Selick would then go on to make, which, even though like Tim Burton literally had nothing to do with those films at all, they sometimes get credited to Tim Burton. I've seen that before, which is ridiculous. And his James the Giant Peach, his these, it's just
Oh, for the longest, I thought he was part of James and the Giant Peach as well, just the way people were
No.
speaking, because I had never seen it.
Mm.
And
No.
I was like, oh wait, it isn't. It's true. It is. It's like a continuing, and it'll be like that forever, Rachel. Though.
I know, and
will.
that's why it's frustrating when something like a documentary makes that mistake. Like, you expect a documentary to get something like that right. And but other than that, it was perfectly entertaining about all these different Christmas movies over the years. And they had all different kinds of commentators, critics. They had all different kinds of commentators, critics, actors, people involved, things like that. And so if you like, I think it would be a fun thing to have on when you're like eating lunch, you know what I mean? And you just want something like pleasant in the background, that's, because it doesn't have like a plot, obviously. It's just about Christmas movies. And I did appreciate that they had some more obscure picks in there. So anyway, that's my spiel. The best Christmas movies ever on the CW. So let's check that out. But what's another one that you have to talk about, Michelle?
So the Sabrina Carpenter special. I'll get get the full name of it because it's pretty long. Uh,
A Nonsense
A Nonsense Christmas with Sabrina Carpenter. This was really short. It was only like 50 minutes. It felt
okay.
shorter. Yeah, it felt way shorter. Like I had to pause it after like a couple of songs, and we were already like way past halfway. So yeah, it's it's no different than any sort of other like musical special, but I think her sort of having sort of a background in acting, they had a lot of like skits and different actors come in and sort of do these fun little skits with her in between songs. You had
Hmm.
Shania Twain on, Chaperone, which was probably my favourite. They did Last Christmas together, so it's all sort of Christmas standards. She didn't play any of her stuff. Obviously, it was all sort of Christmas related
Oh, they
because of the
didn't. Okay.
no, it was all sort of Christmas standards.
Because isn't that her
Um,
song, A Nonsense Christmas?
yeah, I think that's the only like original song, and the rest were all sort of, as far as I was aware, sort of watching it.
Oh.
I'm not the biggest Christmas music fan,
Uh-huh.
but yeah, she had sort of God, what's the actor Nico Raga, who's in that new movie Sweethearts. Sort of had him come in and do like a
Oh.
fun skit. Sean Astin played Santa or
Oh,
boyfriend.
really?
Yeah. She had
Wow.
Cara Delevingne, Julian Bell, just like all these fun people to come in and do all of these like fun skits.
That's funny that Sean Astin played Santa because I just saw Elf on Broadway, Elf the musical,
Mhm.
and he's playing Santa on there.
Oh, that must be why.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, that was
Marketing.
why.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't even until I looked it up I realised who it was. Because yeah, he's obviously like in the full get up. So I didn't even recognise him.
Oh, really?
But yeah, yeah.
I wonder if
But
it's
yeah,
the
it was.
same costume from the
Yeah, you'll have to
musical.
look and tell me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was really, really fun. And I'm not the biggest fan of that type of music, but I thought her voice was really pretty. And definitely would definitely put that. I think the album, sort of comes along with the special, so I would definitely put that on throughout the Christmas season.
Oh.
Yeah, especially the sort of Shania Twain and the duets that she done were really fun. Um,
Oh.
and it actually made me just wish that she would get back into acting again. I think she's a really fun comedic actor. Um, sorry. Yeah, I think she's a really fun comedic actor, and we need to have her back on TV screens again, I think.
I didn't realize that this had like skits and stuff.
Yeah, just little things in between the sort of songs. It's not like, SNL like
You're
level
right.
It's like,
full blown sort of thought out moments, but yeah, it's
Huh.
really fun.
was
That's
it like
good.
a classic variety special that they used to do
Yeah,
back in
I
the
don't
day?
think it
That
goes. Yeah, I don't
I
think
mean,
it
if
goes as
anybody's
far.
familiar with that, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it goes as far as that.
Mm.
Because even now, like the sets, the sort of specials that they have over here. I mean, Michael Bublé does one like every year, and I think Adele did one like a couple of years ago, and they tend to just be about music now. Like they don't have the sort of variety
Yeah.
thing that we used to have,
Yeah.
Yeah.
sort of 90s, early 2000s, that were just a lot of time and energy and went
Yeah,
into
like
them in heart. Like it doesn't seem
yeah,
to be that anymore.
Yeah.
like the Osmonds used to do stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Rachel, we're all going, the Osmonds.
And Sabrina Carpenter to the Osmonds.
I was this close to mention, I was like, yeah, remember, I like those share specials. And I was like, slow it down, Terry. Nobody knows. I don't even
It's
know.
true.
I don't know who any of these people are except for Shania Twain. I didn't even know she was an actress. I mean, I'm assuming she's like on the young, like super young, but
Yeah, she
I
did
saw
the
people
sort of
talking about this. I was like, I don't know
yeah
who any of these people are. I have heard Chappelle, what's her name, Ronan or
Chapel
whatever. Chapel
Chapel
Ronan. I
Roan.
had
Yeah,
heard people talk about her, and I was like, I don't know what she sings. I probably have heard of her songs, but don't
yeah, you
know who
probably
she
have.
is. I've just reached that
Same.
point, guys. I've reached that point. I'm no longer. I just listen to the music that I grew up with. I've come to it quite early in my life.
Come
I've
full
just
circle.
reached to the point where, like, I was like, I don't know. I give up. I'm just gonna, you know.
Yeah, I'm the only reason I know about Sabrina Carpenter was because I was a big Boy Meets World fan. So when she was on Girl
Yeah.
Meets World,
Oh,
I
such a good
watched
show.
her there, and that was a great
Was she the
show.
little blonde girl on there?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, I wouldn't even put two
Yeah,
and two
no.
together.
But
Wow.
post Girl Meets World, I have no nothing.
Yeah, she's on
So
tour with like Taylor Swift and
oh, okay, yeah, who I also know almost nothing
yeah,
about.
nothing about.
Nothing. I could walk right
So,
past him in the street and I wouldn't even know. But
that's We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's author Stacey Agdern and her new book, The Dreidel Disaster. From the author of The Dating Contract comes a Hanukkah story filled with hijinks, love, and problem solving. Mayor Olivia Nachman is ambitious and excited to be elected to the county legislature and better serve the community. Artur Rabnovich knows how to spin a story and fix almost any PR problem, but his skills are put to the test when he's hired to help untangle the mess that's been made in the village of Briarwood. This creates a new problem, balancing his attraction to the mayor he needs to work with and the need to impress his new boss. Will Liv and Arthur learn to compromise and mix business with pleasure without jeopardizing the project or their careers before the dreidel spins its last? The Dreidel Disaster is the third book in Stacey Agdern's Last Girl Standing series and is available wherever books are sold. For more information about Stacey, go to her website, staceyagdern.com. That's staceyagdern.com. All right. Well, Terry, what's one that you saw? Another one you saw?
well, I'll talk about the other Lifetime, the new one this week that's starred Tia Mowry, A Very Merry Beauty Salon. Both these Lifetime movies are not exactly too Christmassy, but it's just set at Christmas. And the synopsis is Sienna is preparing for Atlanta's Tinsel Ball, where she will be honored for her charitable work. The annual event takes a glamorous turn with the arrival of Lawrence, whose family's wine brand is now co-sponsoring the ball. So essentially, she owns a beauty salon, and she has two other women who work with her. One of them has her husband deployed overseas. The other one is a widower or a widow. I'm sorry, and her mom is heading this ball that honors people for their charity work, and she's being honored. And basically, she meets the guy who's her neighbor because he's opening a new like wine restaurant or whatever, and he's sponsoring this ball, and he's more like into marketing his own stuff. So they clash at first, but then the more time they spend together, the more they like each other, and she's afraid of commitment, and he's like, my business, and it's who cares? It's like your I hate to say it that way, but it's your typical like they clash, they meet, they fall in love, all set with basically planning a party and talking about business.
Yeah.
I do wish that more stuff actually happened in the beauty salon because that was the most interesting part because she wants to launch her own hair products, but she's a little afraid of it because the market is so saturated. She's afraid of like failing. And, all the stuff with the women talking and doing the hair is so much more entertaining, but they kind of did that all in montages. And it was very quick to like just move on to like, let's see these guys practicing for this big dance number she's got to do. And if anybody saw this movie, which was well made and it has a solid cast, but she wears this blue dress that I don't know how to feel with. And I wish one of you guys had seen it because I was like, I could discuss this. I just didn't think it was ill-fitting. And I was like, that's a lot of ugly and a questionable headband that she's wearing with it. I think I took a picture of it on my phone. I gotta send it to you guys later so you know what I'm talking about. I thought everybody else looked really good, but not her. And then they do this, you actually see the dance number that they do. And I was like, oh, I don't know if you would dance this at a ball. And I was like, I was very okay.
It's too bad because the poster, it looks pretty swoony. Like she looks
It does
beautiful.
look swoony, but I don't think there's
that's too bad
enough.
didn't
It's not a
deliver.
bad movie. It's very watchable. I'm sure there's going to be like a lot of people who really like it. It's more of a drama than anything else.
But
And it's a good friendship movie because these ladies are all there for each other. And there's some funny
uh-huh.
moments, like the mom's like, when you're gonna start dating, I want to hook you up with, and she's like, I don't need a man, that stuff like that. But I didn't find it very swoony.
No, that's
I,
too
I
bad.
just like, there's a lot of the way that they manipulate him into helping her practice how to dance that interesting dance number that they do dance with at the end. And
Yeah. And everybody on Letterboxd
lots
is
of
saying,
business talk.
yeah, on Letterboxd, it's a lot of people saying it's boring.
A little. It
And
is a little boring, which
yeah,
is a shame because it's got
it's
a
too
good
bad.
cast and
Yeah, that's too bad.
it was interesting. I just wish it had more to do with the actual beauty salon, like more stuff happening
Uh,
there
and
in the
I
beauty salon.
remember on our preview, we previewed Lifetime saying like this does not sound Christmassy at all.
It
And so
wasn't.
it's
It wasn't really
unbelievable.
Christmassy. It was beautifully like they had some beautiful decorations and set design,
Mhm.
showing all the Christmas stuff but it was more about this ball, which is set during the holidays, but you could have had this exact same plot in any time of the year.
Yeah.
So it did it.
Yeah.
It's like not. It isn't and, like the other movie isn't at Lifetime. They're not really Christmassy. They could be set at any time of the year. They just happen to be set at Christmas,
Yeah.
but it's not the main
Mhm.
focus.
That's interesting. Well, Michelle, what's another one that you have to talk about?
So on Netflix, they had a new animated movie called That
Oh,
Christmas.
I did see this.
Um,
Yeah.
oh,
So
you
I can
did
talk
see
about
this?
this too. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yay!
what do you think?
I thought it was really cute. I enjoyed it
Yeah,
more than I was
yeah, same.
expecting. Yeah.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
liked the different
think there was
stories.
there was a lot going on. That was my only thing of like, it felt longer than what it was, and not in a bad way. It just felt like there was like 30 characters.
Yeah. There's
There's
a
a lot
lot
going
going
on.
on. It's true.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, it's because of Richard Curtis,
Yeah, it's
that's
got to
sort of
have like,
his style.
yeah.
But I thought it was real sweet.
hmm
And
Yeah, I thought the sister relationship probably worked the best
uh-huh.
for me.
Yeah.
Out of the kind of multiple sort of storylines that were going on, the sort of good sister, the naughty sister, the nice sister, and all of that sort of back and forth of then Santa getting involved in a relationship
Uh-huh.
and having to sort of um decide if she was naughty or nice, and yeah, that was really really fun.
Yeah, and it's cool because this company, Locksmith Animation, is the name of the
hmm
animation company,
Yeah, I had to
and
look and I couldn't
and
see.
and they've had two movies now. One called
hmm
Ron's Gone Wrong, which is actually like really solid. I don't know if it
mm
came out during the pandemic or whatever, but it was not it didn't get the praise that it deserved. But
Yeah.
it was actually like a pretty good movie and good story. I think it 2021. So it came out in 2021. So yeah, it kind of got buried.
Well, yeah, that had a
But
good voice cast as well.
yeah, it was a good movie. And
hmm
and it also kind of got lumped in with with Mitchell's versus Machines and Bigger Sick. It was just
mm
like a lot of
Yeah,
those kind of
fluffier.
movies. But
hmm
it was really solid. And so now that they have this, like that's two in a row for them of like pretty good entertaining animated films. So that's
hmm
always nice when you have a new player in this in the space, coming out and
hmm
doing good things. When this was announced, I thought it was a short. I didn't realize it was a feature until I started watching it. I'm like, oh, this is I mean, it's not like a super long movie, but it's a feature film.
hmm
So did you see this, Terry?
No,
You didn't see it.
I don't have
Yeah.
Netflix, so
Oh yeah, Netflix. It was well animated.
Yeah, very much
Yeah.
so. Yeah, yeah, I would definitely mistake it because I'm not as well versed in animation as you. So if yeah, I would absolutely believe that this was from like a huge studio.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like something from like Illumination or something like
Illuminations,
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
hmm
in this style. And a great
Yeah,
voice
similar style.
cast. Yeah.
hmm
Yeah. All right. Well, what's another one that you saw, Terry?
Oh boy. Oh boy. It was a week. It was a week, guys. A sad week. So I saw a new Jen Lilly Christmas movie.
Uh-huh.
For
Mm.
she's familiar with the Hallmark fans. Called Operation Mistletoe. This one's available actually to watch on Hulu, but I actually saw this one on the CW. Um, so if anybody's interested or likes Jen Lilly, it is on Hulu. I'm reading the synopsis here, but it does not match at all the movie. Which is so I'm just gonna wing
It's
it.
par for the course.
But like I'm looking at this synopsis, I was like, what is this? This did not happen in this movie. What are we talking about? But
Oh, this
anyways,
poster is the poster's
oh
rough.
yeah, and now it's like the bare minimum. Guys, when I
Oh,
tell
I could do a better job than
But
that.
but this has
when
Nick
I this is
Bateman.
definitely this is a whole I would say this is 100% like fully Canadian movie. Um
And this has Nick Bateman in it.
oh
He's
yes, that's
woo.
yes. Oh yeah. Well, he's yeah, that's about it, Rachel. He's hot, but you ain't gonna get much from that. I hate to say that, but when I tell you that this movie is very decorated, very Christmassy, but all they use is red and green, it's like they threw up. And I was like, guys, I know you saved money buying all this stuff at the dollar store, but can we have a variation? The way they choose to decorate stuff, it's almost like too much. It's nice, but it's too much and it's weird. And I was fixated by that. But basically, Jen Lilly, I think her character's name is Grace, and she's an interior designer. She does all holidays and stuff, and she runs this business with her sister. And they're hoping to get like this big deal and get more exposure to their business. So, and Nick Bateman plays. I see his name is yes, Ryan. That was his name, and he comes back home because his grandmother passed, and he wants to sell his grandmother's house. And and his grandmother used to have a big Christmas event. It was called, it's not, it's kind of, I forget the name of what they called the house, but it was a Christmas house. Lots of parties, charitable stuff. And he is thinking about it, but the mayor talks him into doing one last event. And so she hires Jen Lilly's character to help him, uh, you know, organize this event, decorate the house. They used to go to school together, and she had a big crush on him. And she's also kind of dating some other dude, but it's not serious. But her sister was like Jen Lilly's sister, the character, right? Gets this idea like this might be their second chance. She was really hot, she really liked him back in the day. They could get together. So she tells her husband she's doing an Operation Mistletoe. So that's where the movie comes in. So she decides to help these two get together to just randomly plant all over town where they might be at mistletoe. So that if they see the mistletoe, they might kiss under it and, sparks will fly. I have no idea how this is going to work, Rachel, because this plot just seems like, excuse me, what's going on here? Every time they see the mistletoe, they were like, oh, they never kiss under it. All they do is like, who put that there? Isn't that a weird place to put a mistletoe? Her sister's spending day and night hanging fresh mistletoe, by the way, all over town in hopes that that will somehow spark love between them. And I'm like, no, guy, no, it's so bizarre. There's so much.
That is hilarious. I love
It's
that
so.
I love your review on Letterbox starts with "Excuse me while I scream into my pillow."
Oh yes, I forgot about that. Yes, it was a. I could. I mean, because it's just your basic plan a party movie, and basically like, oh, we used to go to school together. I like you. We're gonna like each other again. But he's a man of business, and he's gonna sell his grandma's house. Will he? And I'm watching this in the middle of the night, and I'm like, I want to run outside my house and just like pull my hair out screaming. It was an interesting watch. I do think I did find Jen Lilly very adorable in this. I like her. She doesn't, or the, it's a mixed bag with her projects, and I know she could deliver. Like, go back and play, bad people like you did on Days of Our Lives, like messy women. Go back to playing messy women because it's so It is everything you'd expect from this movie. You'd expect, but it's like, oh, this is a type of movie I am surprised that nobody bought. Like eh, I don't even know if she has a contract anymore with Great American Family, but this is the type of movie that I'm expecting somebody to buy, like a channel like that next year and have it. It's kind of I didn't even know this existed, and maybe it's better for that way because it is a watch. But I can't
Well,
believe it. Like I'm gonna just put random mistletoe all over the place, and these guys are gonna hook up because of it. How does that work? And her husband is like, I don't know if that's gonna work, but she's like, it will, it will.
well, thank you for taking that bullet for
I
us.
know.
We appreciate your service.
I haven't
Well,
recovered, Rachel.
well, Michelle, what's another one you've seen?
So the last one for me is Black Doves. So that's a limited series on Netflix. So the little plot summary is Helen embarks on a passionate affair with a man who has no idea what her secret identity is. Caught in the crosshairs when her lover falls victim to the dangerous London underground, Helen's employers call in Sam to protect her. So this is Keira Knightley as Helen, Ben Whishaw as Sam, and then you have Sarah Lancashire as sort of their boss. So this is probably my favorite thing that I've watched this Christmas season. It
Oh.
is completely out of the realm of Christmas TV movies and things like that, but it is the most Christmassy thing that I think I've watched. It's so fun. It's 6 episodes. It is very violent at times. So Helen is a spy. She is sort of works for a um company that's they're not like the MI5 or anything like that. They're sort of an independent company that basically just work for the highest bidder. That is sometimes against their country, for their country. Helen is sort of deep undercover, married to a politician who is sort of in line for the Prime Minister's job. So
Uh-huh.
she is so deep in that she can't leave at this point. She has children with him. She loves him, but she's not in love with him, which leads her to have an affair and be tempted to sort of leave. Um, and as that happens in the first few minutes of the show, the man that she's having an affair with is killed. You have all of these sort of different storylines that are going on. So you have Helen caught up in this affair, her lover dies. You have Sam, who is an assassin, who is an independent contractor. He sort of works for the highest bidder, but is working with the sort of company that Sam works for, that is sort of that Helen works for at present. But he is caught up with another organisation, and then it all sort of all of there's sort of 3 main storylines that all sort of converge over the death of a sort of not really sure what you would call him. Just sort of like a high up guy in sort of politics who
Oh.
dies. He's from Japan, and there's sort of a big conspiracy that the UK is covering it up. And so they all sort of have these different storylines that all sort of involve the death of this guy. Christmas is all throughout this. They're going to Christmas parties. They're trying to assassinate people while also trying to make it to their child's nativity. There's, there's all
They
of this
gotta
like
balance
crazy,
it. They gotta balance
yeah.
it.
There's all of this like crazy black humor throughout the whole thing. There's like these like violent, horrible things that are happening, and there's just like these off the wall lines of Helen just being like, normally I would kill you, but it's Christmas Eve and I'm not the type of woman that would kill somebody on Christmas Eve. Like it's just it's
She's got
so out there at
standards.
times. She's got standards. It's just really out there, and it's just fun seeing Ben Whishaw outside of the sort of Paddington world, because he's so sort of
Yeah.
he's just Paddington at this point.
Uh-huh.
Like
I don't
years
know, and
ago,
he's
he was
such a
in
good
Mission.
actor too.
But
Yes, so good. Yeah.
I mean, I'm just wondering, we should be concerned about Keira Knightley though, because not only she did this, but before that she did Silent
Oh,
Night,
Silent Night,
which
yeah.
was
Yeah.
all about the end of the
Depressing.
world. It's the most depressing Christmas movie ever. Like, what
Yeah,
is
this is
happening to Keira Knightley that she's
yeah.
doing these Christmas I
she's
feel
not
like
doing the
there's a
traditional
Christmas
like.
movie there that Keira Knightley needs her own Christmas movie
Even before that,
because
Love
she's been
Actually, she's
doing
like
these
it's
dark projects
yeah, but
for
even
the
Yeah.
before that,
holidays.
Ranger, with Love Actually,
But
it's
this
also
sounds great. I
questionable.
had never even heard of this, so good job
How many
citing it.
episodes is it?
So it's six
Where's this? Is
episodes.
this on Netflix?
It's on Netflix, yeah. So it's six
Six.
Do you
episodes.
know?
It works as sort of a limited series, but they did leave it sort of open.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I wouldn't be against them doing it again, but have it sort of be this Christmas thing that they do again. But it was so good that
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies.
Oh,
Yeah. So, all right. Well, Terry, what's another that you've seen?
well, this one should be has a lot of Hallmark regulars in it. Andrea Brooks and Panton. It's called Snowy with a Chance of Christmas. You can
Good
watch it
name.
on yes it is, but doesn't really match. You can watch this on Peacock, on the Roku channel, and Freevee, Amazon Prime. So it's available, and I wouldn't be surprised if this ended up on Up TV next year. But the synopsis is a weather woman is tasked with saving her local TV station. But when she partners with a toy drive run by a single father who only cares to give back and not give into the holiday spirit, she finds her heart is something she can't predict. Now, this does match the movie, but I don't know. This movie made me laugh because she's a very perky weather woman, and somehow it's her responsibility to save this TV station because she's the only one who comes up with a good plan where they will have every day she's going to dare people to do something Christmassy and then shoot like some videos on her phone and put it on social media because that is enough to save a TV station. But don't worry, guys, she's going to do all of this and then quit to go to a better job. So, was it worth it? I don't know. But I'd say this is probably better than the movies I talked before about. Very in line, like if you love Hallmark Christmas movies, this feels very much like a Hallmark Up TV Christmas movie, like that vibe. They have good chemistry together. He's not necessarily Grinchy, but he's more about like it's the season of giving. And she's super perky and animated, and of course they're going to end up falling in love. There's not much to this movie. It's basically she's forcing this man to do a whole bunch of stuff, which makes him open up a bit more and fun. But what I don't understand, he's kind of quasi dating somebody, and they kind of just let that go, like it doesn't really even matter. And I'm like, but what is the relationship with this woman? I don't quite understand. I don't think it's serious either, but and she's like, but my parents, they work too much and I don't spend enough Christmas. She's still hanging out with her nanny. And I was like, ooh, she had a nanny, like, but and they're all hanging out. It's cheesy, but yet I think the actors bring a charm to it. It's very serviceable, but it's nothing new. It's exactly what you would expect from these type of movies. Charitable good deeds, winning people over at Christmas, saving the whatever, and then going on to bigger and better jobs because you put on that you're rewarded for all
Yeah.
that effort. But I will say they are very good together, and so it was
Huh.
nice.
Okay. So you had one more that you saw.
Yeah. I don't know if you got to see this one, the Sprinkle of Christmas.
No, I didn't. I wanted to because I interviewed the director, Nicholas Humphreys, and he's
Yeah.
super cool. And we'll have that interview on the pod coming up, I think next week.
Yeah.
But what did you think? Was it any good?
It was good. I like this one. It's probably the best one that I like that I've talked about. And this one you can watch it on the Roku channel and it's on Peacock as well. And it has Marsha. It stars Marshall Williams and Haley Sales. So we've seen them before. But basically, she's a baker. She owns her own little bakery, and he is an actor. And he has a kind of trouble expressing his feelings, and he goes to her bakery, and things like he doesn't like the customer service, and he's like, oh, he's also broken up with his co-star, but they're continuing to pretend that they're still dating for publicity of their movie coming out. And so he's talking to her, and she's like, well, you have to express yourself. So in that moment, he writes a bad review on a kind of website that is sort of like Yelp,
Okay.
but which he had absolutely every right to write that bad review because it was kind of crappy customer service. But she writes back anonymously, going, "Who do you think you are?" Whatever, because she can't let that die, and that becomes a big. And then they go back and forth at each other, and that becomes, everybody goes to the bakery. It becomes a big whole thing. But in the meantime, he takes over helping his brother plan his engagement party and hires her as a caterer for the desserts. So they're bonding on both levels where they don't know that they're fighting and feuding online over the negative post and them planning this engagement party together. And there's lots of like these desserts looked really good, Rachel. Don't watch this when you're hungry. Um, because it was very, I was like, oh, I could eat that tart. But this was a lot of fun. There's nothing new or surprising, but I do think that these two had some chemistry together, and it feels Christmassy, but it doesn't feel like that Christmassy because Christmas is not the main focus of it. But I had fun with this because I thought the banter was good, and this one's a gem. I wouldn't be surprised. This is another one that I think could end up on Up TV next year. But I wouldn't be. I think this. I'm sorry. If you like all the stuff you watch on Hallmark, I think you'd really like this one. It's kind of fun. I liked it. I thought that that they were cute together. They had enough chemistry to keep me interested. And I think this is like I really liked Marshall Williams in this movie. I thought he's very likable because he has like hit or miss stuff for me, but I thought he was very likable, and he's not like some pretentious actor or whatever. He's just like, I had a bad day and wrote a bad review, and he regrets it, right? But it just goes it gets blown up and out of hand, with them going back and forth. But it's charming, and then of course she finds out that it's really him at the end, and she's like, oh no, I've got to hide it, and we're from two different worlds. So it's them coming together from that. It's cute. I didn't explain it very well, but it is very cute.
That sounds cute.
I think
Oh,
you would
good.
enjoy it.
Well, I'll definitely try to check that one out. And like I said, we interviewed Nicholas Humphreys, and that should come out, I think, next week. So look forward to that. And I should have said that we also had an interview with Simon Otto, the director of that Christmas that we talked about earlier. Since I was traveling, Sari Cohen, she did the interview and she did a great job. And that's up on the podcast and on the YouTube channel as well. Right, so we did it. I think that's everything, right? We covered
Yeah.
everything. Okay, good. All right. Well, let us know if you saw any of these various things that we talked about. We certainly have variety on this episode. Everything from Christmas specials to Black Doves to Operation Mistletoe to everything in between. So let us know what you thought if you got to see and what you thought of what we had to say. And Terry, where can people find you?
On Twitter at Flurry Heaven.
Great. And you can find, I mean, Michelle, where people find you?
On Twitter at Michelle R. Benson.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also, make sure you're following the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all over social media. And if you're listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That really helps us a lot. And if you are listening on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate that so much. We also have our Patreon group and merch store, so check that out. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
Bye.